to the Earth Day episode of That Time of the Month. The show is hosted by a woman and featuring an all-woman lineup, which means that Rick Perry is more likely to start believing in climate change before Hollywood believes in us as a concept. Tonight is technically Earth Day Eve, and yesterday was 420. So you know Mother Earth is at home getting ready to get blasted. She's going to take a long toke of those sticky, icky greenhouse gases we keep emitting into her atmosphere. Oh my God, she's going to be so blazed that her body temperature will be the warmest it's ever been since 1880. Oh no, she didn't. We did that. Mother Earth's temperature is so high. How high is it? Mother Earth's temperature is so high that the last 3 years alone have been the hottest recorded ever, which is something we have in common. Yeah, that's pretty dismal. And if Mother Earth is anything else like me, she will end the night, the only way we know how, by having someone tell her she's full of hot air, and then just breaking down into a downpour of tears, causing devastating flood damage. Sorry about your West Elm coffee table, Susan. You just can't invite us to parties anymore. It's been a pretty eventful week. Have you guys seen... I gotta get less crinkly snacks. That's always my fault. Have you guys seen what happened with that Southwest flight?
Yes. Oh my
God. Talk about ending the debate on window versus aisle seat. Never do a window. So if you haven't heard, a Southwest flight took off. The engine exploded while they were taking off, or like not too long into the air. And the pilot, Captain Tammy Jo Schultz, still managed to land the crew and passengers safely, except, sorry for that one lady. Should have done aisle. But it's sad, and I'm scared, always. But she managed to land them safely, which was insane, and she was so calm during the whole thing, because she happened to be one of the first female fighter pilots allowed in the Navy 30 years ago. It was amazing. No, we should give it up for Tammy Jo. It was amazing. It was like a very heroic feat. Like, she's definitely a true American hero, like on the same level as Sully. So I look forward to the movie adaptation of the story where a studio cast a 23-year-old to play her. They add in a plot twist that she got distracted by a text from her boyfriend. I can see the marketing tagline now. She passed her fighter pilot exams, but she can't pass that Bechdel test. Damn it. Burn all the studios. What else? Oh, Coachella kicked off last weekend. It was really heartwarming for me to see all those young Native Americans like taking a break from constantly protesting against the government and protecting their land, like in Standing Rock. You know, like they deserve that break to enjoy. Sorry, I'm getting a message from my intern that those were not Native Americans, those were young white women in headdresses. But it sounds like they were from the tribe Free People. We should support that. Free the people. No, it's not a tribe. It is a retail clothing store in a mall. God damn it. This always happens. Well, besides the terrible people roaming the desert looking for acai bowls, the best performance to come out of Coachella was Beyonce. Did you guys see that? Insane. She was the first black woman to be a headliner at Coachella, 2018. And I was a little bummed though, I couldn't watch the live stream in real time because I was in Nashville for a wedding. More specifically, I was at the Grand Ole Opry, which is the birthplace of country music. So I was sitting in an audience full of people whose age bracket I describe as still not talking to Agnes after that shit she pulled at the last bridge game. If Beyonce's performance was described as the most epic and blackest concert ever, especially for Coachella, The Grand Ole Opry concert was the complete antithesis. To give you an idea of how Caucasian it was, the 11-year-old yodeling kid that went viral from that Walmart video showed up courtesy of the Ellen Show. Very white. If that's not hitting home hard enough for you, after watching what was dubbed as Beychella, I was so mesmerized I felt like I could taste color. And after watching the Grand Ole Opry concert, I craved a mayonnaise sandwich on Wonder Bread, no crust, with a large glass of milk with ice in it. Our strong female leader for this month is a professor at UT's Department of Geological Sciences and a climate change expert. She's a fellow of the American Meteorological Society, a member of the Board of Trustees of the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research, and an editor of the Journal of Climate, In addition to publishing a text on climate dynamics, please welcome the brilliant Dr. Kerry H. Thank you for coming on. You're the only person I've ever had on the show with a real job. What's the salary? Before I get into the scary questions, like how long do we have left? I'm curious how you got into your field of study.
Well, by accident, really. I was studying astronomy as an undergraduate major, and then I came to Rice University, where I'm still trying to study astronomy, but it didn't go so well. So I started studying something harder, which is called magnetospheric physics.
I don't even know what that is. I just found out that wasn't Miss Alien Science.
It's about the Earth has a magnetic shell around it. That's about how all that gets formed, and that led me into working with big computer models.
Okay.
And so then from there is how I got into studying climate, because we use really high-level computers, like the fastest computers of the world, are churning away on this climate change problem. So it was really through the computer programming.
That's a much better use for those computers than Bitcoin.
I just learned that. And better than nuclear codes.
Yeah.
Just what they used to churn away on.
So can you please explain what last year's historical weather events had to do with climate change?
Well, it's often hard to associate an individual weather event with climate change. 5 years ago, we were all saying, oh, you can't do that. You can't, connect climate change with an individual weather event. But the climate change signal is coming out so much stronger now that we are able to really isolate the effects of climate change on different individual storms. And Harvey is a really good example of that, because a lot of the heavy rains that fell with Harvey happened because there's more water vapor in the atmosphere. And there's more water vapor in the atmosphere because the ground is warmer. And when it's warmer, you evaporate more water. It's really simple. Aspects of Harvey, like the big rainfall delivery, part of the big rainfall delivery, we can just associate straight back to climate change now.
Mm-hmm. It seems so easy an explanation, yet there's still people out there that are like, nope, don't believe it, don't, like, as their house is being torn down. What are the biggest challenges you face in your role as a climate change expert, especially in a state where lawmakers largely don't believe in climate change or ignore it because they just want to line their pockets with corporate interests?
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, we're kind of over the hump with people understanding that climate is changing due to human activity.
Mm-hmm.
The polls are around the country, and about the same for Texas. 70% of the people understand this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a higher percentage than the people who understand humans have evolved.
Mm-hmm.
That number stands at 62%.
Oh my God.
So I don't think we can do better. I mean, we probably hit a ceiling. The people who aren't on board with this idea, it's politics or something else. It's not about science.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the issue and the big challenge we're facing is how do we move from that to action?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our political system is just completely out of sync with the facts, and also what most people understand is that climate is changing due to human activity. but it has to be, it has to seem like a pressing problem, and we have so many problems right now, as we all know, raining down upon us. Where's Christmas? That it's really hard. It's really hard for this issue now to be coming to the top in the last year or two. But we have to move toward action. Of course, that's what the Paris Climate Accord is doing. It's still in existence, of course, and so it's moving toward action now. It's not really the old belief in climate change. It's seeing it as an imperative.
Woo! Finally. What is your favorite part about teaching students the hard truth? That does not change.
Well, so I came upon this article recently where they're studying depression among climate scientists.
Oh my God.
Isn't that sad? You know, like we've been screaming into the wind. You know, I've been doing this 35 years. You know, screaming into the wind. And so my favorite part is that I get to teach these early 20-somethings who care about this and want to learn about it and want to act on it. And that keeps me from being one of the depressed climate scientists. It really does. So I think teaching is a real antidote.
I truly believe that the teens and everyone coming up now will save us, because we are like, I feel like older generations just don't know what to do or how to like incorporate ways to reduce their carbon footprint, because they're just so set. Like my parents are gonna hate this, but they don't really recycle. Oh shit! But now like we've kind of come up, especially Austin, like we're a plastic bagless city. It's become a habit to people in other generations that like can make that change and incorporate that into their.
I start my class with an apology. I say my generation screwed up the climate. Where I'm really sorry. Can you guys please fix it?
Thank you for admitting.
I didn't do it personally.
So can you speak a little to fossil fuels versus renewable energy and Texas's relationship with them?
It's kind of interesting because, all this fracking that's going on, which is kind of scary, and it's got a lot of earthquake activity with it. But the bigger idea is that we can use natural gas as a kind of a segue to more renewable resources, because for the amount of energy, for a given amount of energy, natural gas releases a lot less CO2 into the atmosphere than the same energy extracted from oil. So, one idea is to try to use natural gas until we can bring more wind and solar. And that's kind of what's happening now, but it's not for the reason of climate change. It's just for purely economic reasons in this country, and especially in this state. It's just economic reasons that they're bringing up natural gas. But because there's more natural gas being used in in 2014, 15, and 16, the CO2 emissions in the globe were actually flat. They flattened out, even though there's more population and more economic growth. It went up again a couple % in 2017 because China was using some more coal, and that was seen as such a big country. It was seen. So. So it's actually a good thing to be using natural gas and trying to transition that way. I just wish they were doing it for environmental reasons and not for economic reasons, because as soon as the economic reasons aren't there, they're going to go, of course, right back.
Yeah, very true. Who is a strong female leader in your own life?
My grandmother. So I had this, my grandmother was an Italian immigrant, and when I was a graduate student, I had my first child, and I hadn't finished my degree, and so I was a pregnant graduate student, and I called up my grandmother, and I said, this old Italian woman, and I said, I said, she's probably my age by now, you know.
You don't look a day older than Eastern European immigrants. So.
Easier life. But so I called up Noni, right, my Italian grandmother, and I said, you know, I'm pregnant. I'm having your first great grandchild. And that woman said to me, have you finished your studies?
That's wonderful. Yeah. If you were, one last question before you go. If you were, actually, I have two questions. If you were stuck in a room with Secretary of Energy and idiot Rick Perry, what would you say?
Do you know the first thing I thought of? I could use my bracelet like his brass knuckles.
Always your first instinct. No, that's a good answer. Don't even get a word in. One last question. Advice for those looking to help improve the environment's current condition. What's the first, environmental political action that, I guess let's make it for Texas or just generally. What kind of advice would you give to
Vote.
Vote. There you go. Vote. We here at That Time of the Month have gotten our hands on an Earth Day exclusive. Our production intern, who's just a broom with a wig and glasses on due to network budget cuts, has helped us obtain an open letter from the Mother Earth, which we're going to share with you now. I know some of you might be wondering, how do you know that the Earth is a woman? And I know she's a woman because no one takes her problems seriously. This isn't, I'm going to do this in the voice of what I think Mother Earth sounds like. To whom it may concern, you should all be very concerned. Hi, it's me, your Mother Earth calling. You know, the one you only remember when it's inconvenient for you, like when I show up unannounced, wreaking havoc on that awful studio apartment in a flood zone you live in. Speaking of which, after the last year of weather I sent you, you should really stop ignoring my calls. I mean, what the frack is going on? I know a mother, as I am, is supposed to take care of her babies, but when the babies equal up to nearly 7.6 billion people living on the me, polluting directly on my face on a daily basis, you gotta wonder, how can I put up with this shit? Come on, guys, haven't you seen that ex-vice president's movie? And no, I'm not talking about the HBO movie Recount. I'm talking about Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth, the one about how bad my body looks. Just another day in the life of a woman planet. And can you believe he had enough material for a second one? You know, shit's hit the wind turbine when a sequel to the first movie about you dying comes out. Now, I know it's a cool thing these days to have a mother who's hot, but I am too hot to try. Not in a sexy, mysterious way. More in a my body is rapidly warming every year thanks to your carbon footprint way. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind being a MILF. Mom, I'd like to fertilize. Hey, yo! But seriously, I want to be a cool Mom Earth, too. So what, I used to climate change your diapers. And even when I try to be cool, Mom Earth, you get pissed at me, telling me my winter voicemails are too long. Speaking of people I can't satisfy, your Father Time has really been getting on my nerves, making me throw out all of my favorite pet animals. Who is he to tell me I don't need all these polar bears and white rhinos in my home? My body of land, my choice. I think he's just pissed because strangers keep trying to get into my wetlands for commercial development. Better that than smelling his environmental gases every night. By the way, your Uncle Harvey is sorry about getting drunk all over Texas and crashing on Houston's couch, quote, overstaying his welcome last year. But your Aunt Maria is pissed at you guys for not doing enough to clean up from her bender in Puerto Rico right after. She texted me a special message for you all to pass on to that natural disaster you call president. Eres un idiota loco y tu final está cerca. All I'm asking is that after everything I've given you, be a little appreciative and try to return the favor. Even that guy from Entourage, Adrian Grenier, is doing something to fix my face with his initiative to get people to eliminate plastic straws because they always end up at the bottom of my oceans. The campaign is called #StopSucking. So I originally thought it was about Kevin Dillon's acting career. I cracked myself up, which is an earthquake. You know, I'm a lot like that Adrian Grenier fella. I also have a friend named Turtle. He's one of my closest reptile buds. I gotta go. Your Father Time just put my favorite program on the Netflix. It's called Planet Me. I love it. Anyway, don't ever forget what I taught you. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Remember to call me. You only get one Mother Earth, and I want grandchildren before I die. Wow.